Good morning, guys. It is Saturday, October the 29th, and we are getting ready for football. Today's the day that Georgia plays our neighbor rival team, the Florida Gators. Um, those of you guys that know me, you know I'm a Georgia fan. I do have a lot of friends in Florida, and in fact, I've got a bunch of those friends that are coming over today to root for the Gators. But I'm going to be sitting on the other side of the couch. I'm rooting for my dogs. Anyway, so many of you have messaged me over email, Facebook, and wanted to know if I was going to make a statement concerning these laws that were passed here in Georgia. For those of you who are not aware, they just I don't know that they passed a law. I think they just kind of very sneaky slipped something through there. Wasn't nothing anyone got a chance to vote on. But they put the Burmese python, I believe it's, the Nile monitor, and the Argentine black and white tegu on a list of animals that you have to have license and insurance for and all of that kind of stuff. And they passed that a couple days ago, and several of you have messaged me and said, are you going to say something about it, or are you going to make a statement about it? And to be totally honest with you, I've thought about it many times, but I had to let a few days pass because I was pretty angry, as a lot of you are. I think it's very sneaky and very shady the way they did it. Now, USARK issued a statement saying that the overwhelming support that they got was more than the opposition. In other words, there was more people that supported banning the Burmese python than there was people in opposition to it. And maybe that's because they wasn't answering the telephone when those of us who were in opposition to it actually called and tried to get through. I know myself, I called 3 times and I was never, ever able to speak to someone. So it's easy to say you didn't have much opposition to passing this when you wasn't open to listening to the opposition. But anyway, it is what it is. What I am also concerned with is what appears to be the silence about this coming from USARK. It's almost as if USARK just said, well, there wasn't enough of you guys that fought for it, so tough crap. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm mischaracterizing USARK. I sent them a message on yesterday, was Friday. I went on USARK's website hoping to find a telephone number, and I wasn't able to find one. I looked around their website, I couldn't find one. Now, I could find a number that you could call to speak to the people at the Georgia DNR, but I've already told you they weren't answering that phone. So that's pretty much does nothing. What I want to know is, what is USARK doing, or what are they planning to do? Just nothing? Issue a statement that says, well, they had more support than opposition. Is that all you guys going to do? I mean, I personally have been to many of the auctions and the fundraisers and all the things where Georgia reptile keepers have donated money to USARK, and I'm like, is this all we're getting for our money? Is that it? I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope USARK is doing something, but I can't even find a phone number to call and speak to someone or ask someone. Now, I could find the donate button. I mean, the donate button is right there, front page, front and center. Donate, send us your money. But nowhere I could call and ask them any questions. So I'm going to put this out here. USARK, once again, I'm asking, where are you guys at? What are you doing? And is it worth herpers and reptile people and all that continuing to support USARK? Because the track record down in Florida doesn't seem to be, well, it's not stellar. Now, maybe they're going to do something else, but it seems they put a great deal of effort into what's going on down there in Florida. I wonder if they're going to put any effort into our state here in Georgia. That's what I want to know. Now, I'm granted, I'm going to be honest and say that USARK has not responded to the message that I sent them. I sent it to them on Friday, and I'm waiting to hear a response. But, obviously, it being the weekend, I don't expect that I'm going to get it back this soon. But I'm really hoping that we're going to get something other than the little statement that was issued on their website. The tiny little statement that said, well, it passed because you guys didn't call in and didn't speak to them. Well, again, that's a lie. We did. We tried to. I know I tried to. I know I've talked to a couple of other people who have told me that they tried to call and talk to someone at that number, and nothing. No one ever answered the telephone there. So I'm wondering if there is something that USARK is planning to do. And what I'm also wondering is why are we continuously discriminating against? Here in Georgia, we fall under the Department of Agriculture, which means basically reptile keepers are like any other farmer. I mean, they're allowed to, under agriculture, to farm and breed horses, all types of cattle, poultry, livestock. Why are reptile farmers discriminated against? And why is it that even though our licenses fall under Department of Agriculture, the Georgia Department of Natural Resources can just write a law and put us right out of business? I don't know. I think some courts need to look at this and see if this is something that can be overturned. I certainly think USARK should be at the front of this, but I don't see it. I see a bunch of reptile keepers throughout the state of Georgia asking the same question I'm asking. USARK, what have you done for us lately? What are you going to do for us? Issue a statement? Suck it up, Georgia. Too bad. Thanks for your money. Is that all we're going to get? I mean, I hope not. I know I sound like I'm mad. I am. But, again, we're going to follow the laws. We're going to do what is right. Right now, we don't even know what those laws are. We don't know what we can do. I'm wondering about pet stores throughout Georgia who have Burmese pythons in their inventory. Are they allowed to sell those? Are they allowed to sell off their remaining inventory? Or are they going to be stuck with them? And if a pet store is stuck with, say, 5 Burmese pythons, are they going to be grandfathered in where they can keep them out? See, nobody knows. We don't know what's going on. We don't know anything. And I guarantee you, it's usually like calling any government agency. And I've got a buddy that actually works for DNR. I'm not going to name him, but he's even told me this himself. You can call them and ask, 3 different questions and get 4 different answers to each of those questions. It's just the way it is when you deal with any government agency. It's I will say this, though. I will say that the Georgia DNR seemed to be a lot more helpful and knowledgeable than FWC down in Florida. But they and there's a lady that I have dealt with at the Georgia DNR for licensing in the past. She was great. I can't remember her name. She's the lady that's in charge of issuing Georgia license. And when I've worked with her in the past, she has been great. I think her name is Jamie. If that's not it, then I do apologize for getting that name wrong. But she's been great. But I wish that my state wouldn't try to do things to take food off of people's table. I know many breeders here in Georgia who work with the Argentine Tegu and the Burmese python, and they put food on their table by doing that. And these guys just came in and said, "Tough, we're going to put you out of business," just like that. And the group that's supposed to be protecting us from that basically have said to us, who have donated so much money to their organization. Well, there wasn't enough of you guys fighting. USARK, I promise you this, I will never, ever donate another penny to your organization if this is what all you're going to do for us. If this is it, there won't be no more donations. In fact, I'll lobby against people supporting USARK. Now, I know my voice is small. I'm certainly not a Brian Barczyk or anybody like that on YouTube, but still, I think you guys need to do something. There's a lot of people down in Florida that are pretty underwhelmed with the results that USARK have had down there. But at least they have been fighting for you guys down there. It remains to be seen what they're going to do for us here in Georgia. So anyway, that's my statement. I know people want me to probably voice my opinion a little bit more. Now, once again, I do want to encourage my fellow reptile keepers out there, viewers of this channel. I do want to encourage you. Let's don't make enemies out of these men and women who work for the Georgia DNR. These men and women are human beings just like us. They're working. They're trying to put food on their table. Do I like what they've done to us? No, I do not. I don't think we should make it personal. I don't think we should be, trying to attack those people online and all of this. I don't think there needs to be threats made toward them. I don't think we need to threaten to do ecological terrorism like I've heard people say, things like, well, I'll turn every Argentine Tegu in that I have loose in Georgia. And I understand your frustration, your sentiment. I don't think in the long run it's going to help you or us to do things like that. I just don't. I don't think we need to make enemies out of these people. However, if you work for Georgia DNR, I'm asking you, you wouldn't want someone coming along and taking your livelihood and taking your means of putting food on your family's table away from you. And we're asking you guys to not do that to us. There was no breeding population of Burmese pythons in the state of Georgia, none whatsoever. There has been a couple Burmese pythons found in the wild in Georgia. Usually those are probably an escaped pet that someone was afraid to report. Quite simply, they were afraid they were going to get in trouble. And, people shouldn't have that fear. People should be able to report and say, hey, my Burmese escaped. I need to let the community know. We actually had a tortoise that got out of one of our enclosures a week ago, and we put the word out, and one of our neighbors found it, brought it to us within 30 minutes of us putting that online. So, it does work, but, people who have maybe a big python were scared to do that, and therefore they didn't do that. So one's found, and now all of a sudden this panic is created that, we may have Burmese invasive to Georgia now. That's nonsense. There's no invasive pythons anywhere north of Orlando, Florida, because the temperature up here is simply too cool for them to survive in the wintertime. That's why you don't find Burmese pythons in Ocala, in Gainesville, in Jacksonville, in Tallahassee. It's just simply too cold. They're further down south in the Florida Everglades. And, it's just panic. And then there's the other stupidity that people, I believe the DNR are more educated than this. I believe that the DNR, and I believe that the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, I believe those guys are more educated. But the stupidity of common people who know nothing about these animals, who say things like, well, it's because of all these pet owners that turn their animals loose. You mean that you actually believe that people all over Florida turn Burmese pythons loose that were their pets, and that all those Burmese pythons just wound up in the same location in the state of Florida? It was nonsense. Once again, that facility down there was destroyed by Hurricane Andrew years ago, and those Burmese pythons were released from a facility because of a hurricane. Was it because of pet owners? Was it because of people, even, let's just say 100 people throughout the state of Florida released a Burmese python? Hypothetically speaking, let's just say, do you believe that all those pythons just decided, we're going to move to Miami, we're going to move to the Everglades? You're an idiot. I'm sorry, I don't know anything else to say. You're an idiot if you believe. I mean, listen, the Argentine Tegus didn't do that. They didn't all go to the same location. Anyway, but it's that kind of fear mongering that causes, politicians and people to want to react. The public saying, oh my God, we're scared. These pythons are going to take over. I guarantee the farmers would appreciate some Burmese pythons out there in the woods because they'd take care of some of the feral pigs that these farmers have a nightmare dealing with. But anyway, that's another story. But anyway, once again, herpers, fellow reptile breeders, those of you licensed by FWC or the Georgia Department of Agriculture, once again, I know you guys are angry. But once again, let's don't do things that's going to hurt us even more in the future. It's I don't know. Right now, let's do things right. Let's do things legally. If lawsuits have to be filed, file lawsuits. If you decide that you believe you're discriminated against, go out and talk to an attorney. And see about doing things legally through the court system, and let's don't make enemies out of fellow human beings, regardless of what they do for a living. Let's don't make enemies out of these people. Remember that these men and women who work for the Georgia DNR, they have children that are on the internet, and so be careful. Don't say things about people that you wouldn't want their children to see. And I've seen some of that. I've seen some of that stuff on Facebook, and I know we joke around a little bit on our YouTube channel, and we refer to the fish and game as fish cops. We do that in fun. Like I said, once again, I actually have a couple of friends that work for Georgia DNR, and I tease them the same way. I tell them they're fish cops, but they are they do serve a purpose. They have a needed purpose, and therefore we should not we should not view them as our enemy. However, that being said, I'm very disappointed in them. I am very disappointed in what they've done. But again, what can we do right now? Right now, we wait. We find out what's going on. We do the legal things. We file lawsuits if need be. And that's where we go. And then we ask USARK one last time, what are you guys going to do? Are we going to have to look for legal representation outside of your organization? It certainly appears that way. Now, I want to also commend, and I haven't spoke to them, but I know the folks at the Georgia Herpetological Society, Georgia Herp Society, are also involved in this. And Justine, I know Justine personally. She and I have met and talked at many of the reptile shows. Justine, my hat's off to you, young lady. I wish you well. I hope that you guys will continue once again to fight. I believe Justine would agree with me on much of what I'm saying here. We do not need to make the Georgia DNR an enemy. We need to try and work with them to come to a more agreeable solution for the way to do this. And you guys out there that are talking about, I'm going to release Tegus into the wild, or I'm going to release Burmese into the wild, you guys are going to make us all look bad. Don't do that. Knock that crap off. Don't even write that on Facebook. Again, it's not going to help our cause. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we will keep you informed of what's going on, and we'll see you in our next video. Thanks for watching, guys. And go dogs.